So I recently conducted a poll on my channel where I asked you who you would most want me to do a review video of, and I listed several options. Coach Corey Wayne was pretty high on the list of results that you guys voted on, but the number one most requested person was actually Courtney Ryan, and I am a fan of her channel. She's got a lot of great videos, a lot of great content. If you're not familiar with her, I'm going to link to her channel down below in the description just so you can follow her if you want to. But today we're going to be looking at one of her most popular videos. This is a fairly new video, and it's called 6 Things That Women Say and What It Actually Means. So let's dive into her video, and I'm going to kind of break down my thoughts as we go in real time.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about what she really means. Do not be fooled. I wish that we could all just say what we mean and mean what we say, but sadly that's not the world that we live in. This video is going to help you decipher and understand what women really mean when they say these things, and in most of these cases save you a lot of time and energy.
I'm going to stop it right there, and I'm going to say that, of course, she's a woman, so she does have the bird's eye view of what women mean when they say certain things. But of course, I'm the guy who's dated and been divorced from 2 different women, so I also have a lot of experience on the receiving end. And I can tell you that often women will say one thing when they really mean something different. And there's 2 main reasons for that. One is that women are always responding to how they are feeling in that moment. And they may love you one day and hate you the next day because that's how they're feeling in those particular moments, and they may feel completely different in the next day, but they're always responding to things about how they feel in that moment, not from what you did yesterday, not from what you did 10 years ago, how you're making them feel right now. The other thing is most women really don't want to hurt your feelings, so they're never going to be brutally honest with you if there's something kind of tough that they have to say and get off their chest, or if they're wanting to break up with you, or if they're unhappy about something. They're rarely ever going to come right out and say it bluntly and directly, which is how us guys tend to want to hear things. We want things to be direct and simple and clear, and women just don't usually communicate that way. Of course, I'm generalizing and stereotyping a little bit, but often stereotypes are rooted in common behaviors that certain groups of people tend to make, so there is some rationale behind it. But let's keep going.
Really, my point of making this video is just to make sure that you guys are not, waiting around for someone or wasting your time on someone who clearly doesn't like you, but they're not being clear about it, right? I think a lot of times women will give a little glimmer of hope, we could call it, or they'll kind of let you down easy in a way that doesn't hurt your feelings, when in reality it just actually ends up making things a lot harder because you think that there's hope there. Let's get into it. Number 1 is, I'm not looking for a relationship right now. And this really means that she's really just not looking for a relationship with you. And the big takeaway from this one is to not sit around and waste your time waiting for her someday, somewhere, sometime to hopefully be ready for a relationship or looking for a relationship. Because the truth here is that she just doesn't want to do that with you.
And let me stop her right there, and I completely agree with that. If a woman says, I'm not ready for a relationship, or I need some space, or anything like that, it just means she's not feeling it with you right now. You are doing things that are turning her off, or if you've never even gone out on a date yet, she's just not feeling that attraction and that connection with you enough to want to give it a shot, essentially. So she's trying to be nice and let you down gently, but I know for us guys, that does come across as kind of vague and does kind of like make us think, well, okay, well, not ready right now, maybe I should try again tomorrow. And really, she doesn't want you to do that. She's just not saying that.
She maybe doesn't see you romantically, or she just doesn't want to be with you. She doesn't want to date you. And if a guy came along that she actually did want to be in a relationship with, I guarantee she would not be saying to him, I don't want to be in a relationship right now, or I'm not looking for a relationship right now. She would just date him, right? Because she wants to date him. She wouldn't use that lame excuse. So I think that when a lot of guys hear this, they think, oh, well, she's just not ready right now, so I'll wait around, or I won't date other people in case she changes her mind. But the reality is, if someone looks at you and tells you, I don't want to date you right now, why are you going to wait around for them to possibly change their mind? Life goes on. You need to move on and keep things rolling, onward and upward, right? We can't just be waiting around for people who are not ready for what we're ready for.
And let me stop her again right there. I absolutely think you should not wait on anybody. If somebody that you ask out says that they're not ready for a relationship, that should send you a very clear message. I know it's a little bit vague and unclear, but it should send you a very clear message that they don't want to date you. They don't want to be with you. They don't want to see you in a romantic sense. And that's okay. There are a lot of other women out there who would want to do that with you. So you do not want to sit around and wait. You definitely don't want to put every other woman on hold while you're just sitting there hoping that she somehow magically comes around. That's pathetic. Don't do that.
Say things like right person, wrong time. No such thing, okay? If they were the right person, it would have been the right time. So, especially when we're talking about the talking stages or date, like you haven't even dated this person yet and they're telling you that they're not ready for a relationship right now. And maybe that's true. Maybe she just got out of a long-term relationship and she genuinely is not ready. The last thing you want to do is sit around and wait around until she potentially maybe magically is one day, okay?
And I also want to point out that even if she's not really ready, let's say she did just get out of a relationship and she's still feeling some very raw emotions, if there was a high level of attraction from her towards you, she would still make it happen. So if she's not making it happen, her feelings are not there, and you need to move on. And if anything is going to work to attract her to you, it's going to be you removing your attention, not sitting there pathetically waiting for her to give you her attention. You move on with your life. You date other people. You pretend she doesn't exist. And if anything is going to make you more attractive in her eyes, it would be behaving that way.
Number 2, the one that I'm sure all of you have heard at some point, and that is, I've been busy. This is normally the response you'll hear if you haven't heard from her in days, maybe weeks, maybe months, and she's feeling a little bit bored that day, so she finally decides to text you back.
And I completely agree with that also. I don't care how busy a person is. If you are important to them, they will find the time to spend with you if you are high enough on their priority list. And if they're not doing that, that means you're low on their priority list. And you just need to accept that, not sit around and wait on them, and move on with your life.
If a girl really genuinely likes you, this simply will not happen. If you haven't heard from her in 4 days, she just doesn't like you, buddy. Unless she is on a cruise in the middle of the ocean with no cellular service. I like to follow what is called the 24-hour rule. So if you don't hear from someone in 24, maybe 48 if we're really pushing it, 24 to 48 hours, they are just not into you. And it's also different if they give you a heads up like, hey, I'm going to be really busy for the next few days, or I won't really be on my phone. Just wanted to give you a heads up. But if she didn't even give you that, she's just leaving you on red. She's just ghosting you and she doesn't like you. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. The specific I've been busy just does not exist when a girl likes you. A girl could be modeling every day of the week, backed up, showing after showing. I mean, maybe she has the craziest life in the world, but that guy texts her that she's really into, she's shooting him a text back. So I don't buy the I'm too busy thing. I'm a very busy person and I still make time for the people that are important to me in my life, as do most women who are into someone. Moral of the story here, she's never too busy for you if she genuinely likes you.
All right, and I'm going to stop her there. So far, I've completely agreed with everything that she's had to say. Not a big surprise since I've been a fan of her anyway, but let's keep going.
Number 3 is I don't want to ruin our friendship, which actually means she just doesn't see you romantically at all. She also probably really genuinely doesn't want to hurt your feelings by telling you this, and this is why she says it in this way of, oh, I don't want to ruin our friendship, instead of, I'm not romantically interested in you, or I'm not attracted to you, or I don't see you that way. And maybe she does say those things too. I've had a lot of guys write into me who, have been in situations like that where the girl did say those things, and even then, I think you have to appreciate the honesty. It can be a little bit tricky if, a friend tells you that they like you and you obviously value that friendship and you love this person and care about this person because they're your friend, but you just don't see them as any more than that. You don't want to ruin the friendship, but at the same time, when that person expresses interest to that degree or just tells you that they're interested, it can kind of end up changing the dynamic anyway.
I want to stop her there because there's really two different scenarios here. One is if you are are just friends with a girl and you have been for a while, and then you tell her that you've got romantic feelings for her and it completely shocks her and surprises her out of the blue. That's one scenario. And in that case, it makes total sense that she would say something like, well, I just don't want to ruin our friendship. That makes total sense to me. But the other scenario is, what if you have been dating and now she's basically trying to move you to the friend zone? That's totally different, really. And if you have been in a romantic relationship with her, you should never, ever accept being moved to the friend zone. You should just say, hey, you know what? I really, really care about you and I am only interested in seeing you romantically. Being platonic with you is not something I'm interested in. If you change your mind, though, give me a call. And then you move on. You go no contact. You don't initiate any contact with her whatsoever. If she reaches out to you, you assume that she does now want to be in a romantic relationship with you in some capacity, and you make a date. And if she refuses to make a date or wants to do something during the daytime that's clearly platonic, you reiterate what you said before. I'm only interested in seeing you romantically. It sounds like you still want something platonic and that just doesn't work for me. Call me if you change your mind. And then again, you go no contact and you move on with your life.
It's going to depend on you and your situation and the person that you're interested in, obviously. But this is just a really tricky situation all around. Sadly, after one person expresses interest and the other person doesn't feel the same way, sometimes the friendship just isn't the same because you view them or the friendship that you have a little bit differently. Also, it can be really difficult for you if you really like her to continue being just friends with her. If she tells you, I don't want to ruin the friendship, or I only see you as a friend, or something along those lines, she's just not into you. Number 4 is, you're a great guy, but. Anything following that but statement is normally not a good sign. And normally just means, but she doesn't like you. It's as simple as that. Whether she says to you, you're a great guy, but I don't want a relationship right now.
And I want to stop it right there and say that anytime anybody ever uses the word but, everything that comes after that usually isn't good. And that's even true with apologies. If I say, oh, I'm sorry, but, everything I'm about to say really negates the apology because I'm trying to justify it in some way, and that's really pretty lame. But if she says, you're a great guy, but, that probably means you are a good guy. Maybe you're being too nice of a guy. Maybe you're being too available. Maybe you're being too needy, too clingy. You're probably doing things that are pushing her away and lowering her attraction for you, assuming there was a romantic spark there at one point.
Or you're a great guy, but there's no chemistry here. All of those things mean essentially the same thing, and it's just that she's not interested. And guys, really, I want to make this clear to you. Do not wait around for her to possibly change her mind. Please, if she says this to you, you're a great guy, but whatever, but literally whatever, is I don't like you. Just take it as that, and it will be so much easier for you to move on from it and let go. Again, I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of times girls will give this glimmer of hope or tell you, oh, you're so great, but I just, not right now, or a million excuses, when in reality, it would just be so much easier if they would just say to you, I don't like you. That's it. You can be like, okay, I respect that. I appreciate that. And you can walk away with grace and dignity and, do what you got to do. But when she gives you you're a great guy, you're amazing, you're incredible, you would be, an amazing boyfriend, but I just don't like you. It gets you in this state of mind where you're like, but you think I'm amazing, so why don't you want to be with me?
And again, women will always say things in an attempt to not hurt your feelings. They will candy coat things. They will exaggerate the positive and diminish the negative because they don't want to hurt your feelings. And that's a good quality to have in a woman. But for us guys, it does mean that we sometimes hear things that sound like mixed messages. We hear things that sound confusing to our brains because it doesn't add up. Well, if she does think I'm amazing, why wouldn't she want to date me? That doesn't make any sense, right? Yes, but that is exactly how women tend to communicate.
And I really don't say that to be harsh or mean. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I also don't want you to waste your time. And I think sometimes you have to hear it in a very non-sugar-coated way in order to understand. And you'll probably think to yourself, well, she thinks I'm an amazing guy and she thinks I would be a great boyfriend, so maybe she'll change her mind or she'll come to her senses and it'll be like a movie. No, we're not doing that. And remember something I tell you guys all the time, and that is actions speak louder than words. Watch what she does, not what she says.
That is crucial right there. Pay attention to her actions, not her words, because women will always tell you exactly how they're feeling by what they're doing, not what they're saying.
My next one is, I can't this week, I'm really busy. Honestly, the this week is just a little thing I threw in there. It could be legitimately anything. I can't this weekend, I'm really busy. Oh, I can't hang out with you this month.
This kind of goes hand in hand with one of her earlier points, so it's really kind of a different way of saying the same thing. But essentially, if you are important to a woman, she will always make time for you. And if she's not making time for you, that means you are not high on her priority list. And if you used to be high on her priority list, that means her attraction for you is dropping, probably because you are doing things to lower her attraction for you. So at that point, you need to match and mirror her behavior. So stop calling and texting as much, especially if you've been initiating a lot of that. Wait to hear from her. Give her time and space to miss you, and then her attraction level will begin to creep back up again, assuming it's at least a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. Don't feel like you have to do more when you see her attraction level dropping. You really need to do less, and to get her wondering about you. Well, why isn't he calling and texting as much as he used to? Is he losing interest in me? Has he found somebody new? Those kinds of things. Those are all going to get her wondering about you, and that's going to increase her attraction for you, and that's what you want.
Continuously making excuses as to why she cannot hang out with you is just a signal to you that she does not like you, because people make time for the things and the people that they love and that are important to them. If a girl likes you, she will want to hang out with you, she will hang out with you, and she will not consistently make up excuses as to why she cannot see you. Now, I do want to say it's totally different if this just happens once. Say you just met this girl, you're supposed to go out on your first date, and she has to cancel or something like that last minute, but she wants to reschedule with you. This is a totally different situation. I'm not just talking about a one-time occurrence. This is someone that consistently does this. Like, you were supposed to hang out last week, but she canceled, and then you moved to next Friday, but she came up with an excuse for that too.
And I do also want to say that if a woman is canceling on you more than once, you always want to leave the option of rescheduling in her court. Because if she says, well, I'm so sorry, I can't make it on Friday, can we reschedule for next Tuesday? That means she's interested in you. That still shows a level of interest that's reasonably high from her to you. If she says, oh, I can't make it Friday, and then you say, oh, well, how about next Tuesday? That makes you seem a little bit weak and needy and pathetic, frankly. But it also gives you no clue as to whether she's actually interested in going out with you or not. So always wait to see if she offers to reschedule. If she doesn't, you should assume her interest level is really low and probably never reach out to her again. And if you hear from her, great. Set a date, and if she shows up for it, then great. And if she flakes on you a second time, I would be totally done with her for good.
So again, if this is a recurring thing, she's stringing you along, she's giving you a glimmer of hope or a light at the end of the tunnel that, one day she'll hang out with you, you have to move on. And last on my list, number 6, is that she doesn't say anything at all. This one is pretty dang self-explanatory, but I just want to stress this again. If she is leaving you on red, if she has ghosted you, if you haven't heard from her in a week and you were supposed to hang out next week, she doesn't like you. If she liked you, she would be talking to you. If she liked you, she would be hanging out with you. If she liked you, she would not be making up excuses consistently as to why she can't hang out with you. Or
the only thing I want to add here is that women do vacillate in terms of how they feel about you. They can seem really super interested in you one day and then back off a little bit the next day, and that's kind of normal. Going back again to Coach Corey Wayne, his analogy is that kind of women are like cats and men are like dogs, and the dogs just kind of sit there waiting for your affection, whereas the cats go wander around, and every once in a while they'll come sit in your lap, and then they'll get bored and they'll go off and do something different. And if you try and pick them up, they usually try and claw you and jump and run away. And that's kind of how women can be. So it is kind of normal for women to not be consistent with their level of attention and affection and communication with you. So I don't want you to confuse that. What you do want, though, is obviously you don't want her to always be a really poor responder to texts or phone calls and things like that. You don't want to feel ghosted. You don't want to be left on red for long periods of time. And if you do find that, you want to match and mirror her behavior. You want to not respond to her very quickly when she texts you back. You want to let her know how that feels, and you don't want to seem like you're jumping and saying how high every time she asks you to jump. So you want to match and mirror her behavior. If she's taken a day to respond to you, take a day to respond back to her when she sends you a text. And it's not like punitive. You're not trying to punish her, but you're trying to show her the same level of importance that she's showing to you.
Basically, this just sums up my entire list here today, is that watch what people do, not what they say they'll do. So if someone tells you, oh, you're such an amazing guy, you would be such a good boyfriend, that's great and that's fine and dandy, and that's her way of letting you down easy, but it doesn't change the fact that she doesn't want to be with you because she's not doing it. So see things for what they are, not what you want them to be. I think a lot of times guys hear these things, or again, girls let them down easy, or try to sugarcoat things to not hurt feelings. But honestly, it would just be so much better if we could all just be honest. That way we don't give people the wrong idea and make things a little bit harder than they really need to be.
I want to stop her right there and say that one of the points that she just made was critical, and that is you've got to look at the situation for how it actually is, not how you want it to be. And don't project your own feelings of how you feel about her onto her. Look at her actions. What is she actually doing? Not what she's saying, but what is she actually doing, and what do those actions actually mean? You've got to look at the situation realistically. Not better than it is, not worse than it is, but how it really is.
Nobody's a mind reader. I wish that we could all just, really mean what we say. But sometimes I think that when you hear these things, it paints them in a picture where you hold on to it and you string things out, and it makes it very hard for you guys to move on. I've had so many of you write into me that you've dealt with things like this, and I just really want this video to help you in all those situations to be able to see things a little bit more clearly and understand if she liked you, you would know. And if you don't know, if you're a little bit confused, then she probably doesn't like you.
All right, I'm going to stop her there since it's the end of her video and just say it was a great video as usual. I really agree with most everything that Courtney Ryan said. Again, I'm going to link to that particular video of hers down in the description below so you can watch the entire thing on her channel. But I do really think she had a lot of really valuable advice there. It's obvious that she has really good insight to how women respond and how they deal with things in relationships with guys. And frankly, that's not something that all women have. A lot of women, they don't really understand why they do the things that they do. And frankly, they see movies and things like that and they think, oh, well, this is what I want. And it's not really what they want. It's not really what they respond to on an emotional level. They don't want a guy who just dumps and vomits up all their emotions on her. They want a guy who's masculine, generally speaking. A guy who's strong, not emotionally cut off. I'm in touch with my feelings, but I don't let my feelings control my actions most of the time. And that is what women are going to be drawn to more than the guy who's always dumping on them and using them as their therapist. Women don't respond well to that, even though the movies kind of make it seem like they do. And a lot of women don't understand their own feelings like that. So Courtney Ryan did a great job in this video. I hope you like my video critique of hers, and I'll see you in the next video.